this is Manindrabu from Batam. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
I'm Sela Sadakau from Vatupula. I only listen to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Gold Benaka, I'm Vale and I'm working at Golden Grove Resort and I love listening to Gold FM because it plays a really wide range of classic music.
I'm Saini Sakio from Kashmir Wotoka. I like Gold FM, but only the classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate. This is FBC News. Tonight, Opposition MP Professor Biman Prasad labels new budget as bad economics. Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says the budget is strong, fair and inclusive. And Rambuka refuses to name figures behind the 1987 coup. Shadow Finance Minister and Opposition member Professor Biman Prasad has labelled the 2016-2017 budget as small-minded and bad economics. According to his estimates, Prasad says national debt will climb up to $5 billion next year. Maggie Boyle compiled this report.
He said nothing about asset sales.
In an address almost 2 hours long, the vocal MP didn't waste time in blasting a budget he says is more about vote catching than reasonable economics.
There have been no attempts to cut non-priority expenditure such as some on the Fiji Roads Authority allocation, subsidizing golf tournaments.
Rising debt levels, he explains, is a burden for all Fijians.
Madam Speaker, this means that as of July 2017, every citizen of this country, children, men and women, will be burdened with a debt level of about $6,000 each.
Professor Prasad, however, supported the allocation for persons with disabilities and the increased doctors' salaries.
It means, Madam Speaker, that an employer who employs an employee with disability on $10,000 per year actually avoids paying $6,000 in taxes.
And that was the theme throughout his address. Prasad lambasting the civil service reforms, tax incentives and military spending, to name a few. His arguments framing the platform for this week's debate on the national budget. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama has defended the 2016-2017 budget as strong, fair and inclusive with unprecedented level of consultations. Bainimarama stood by the budget allocation, saying it is a bold statement showing the world where Fiji stands today and where it intends to go. Akusita Thale reports.
The new national budget is for all Fijians, and Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says they had to make hard decisions.
We have not asked the people to pay for repairs today in exchange for years of stagnant growth in the future. That would be a fool's choice. We will not tell the people if they want their schools repaired today, they will have to delay repairs of roads and jetties, the electrification of villages and the extension of fresh water, that there must be a delay in doctors' salaries.
60% of the budget will be spent on operating costs, while 40% has been budgeted for capital works. Bainimarama says Fiji remains consistent.
And that is why Fijians and non-Fijians alike are placing their bets on Fiji in near record numbers today. Consistency builds confidence, and confidence yields investment. Investment produces jobs and encourages people to create businesses.
Itoke land, sugar, education, health, infrastructure and Itoke affairs were some of the areas highlighted by the Prime Minister during the debate.
While the opposition picks away at an expenditure here and there, or questions why we have gone into a larger deficit when the answer is all around them in the distraction left by Winston, my advice to them is to find the bigger picture.
Bainimarama says the budget also proves its unwavering support to more than 200,000 Fijians that depend on the sugar industry. Akusita Thale, FBC News.
The new leader of the Social Democratic Liberal Party is refusing to reveal who the shadow figures were behind the 1987 overthrow of the government. Sitiveni Rambuka, who was then a major general in the military, led a group of armed soldiers into parliament in Fiji's first coup, overthrowing the Timothy Bavandra-led Labour coalition government. Speaking on FBC TV's For the Record program last night, the man known as the father of coups did not budge when given a chance to come clean on who instigated the event that devastated the country and destroyed so many lives.
Came to you and you said conduct the coup, overthrow the government.
Go and read the book.
This was Sitiveni Rambuka's chance to finally close the darkest chapter of Fiji's history. But despite countless apologies over the last 30 years, Rambuka does not believe he owes the nation the single truth to finally put to rest years of speculation about who were the people that influenced him to overthrow the government then.
I don't want to go back to 1987, or who did what, who said what. I was the person that went into parliament, and I will accept that blame.
Questions have lingered for the last 3 decades. Was Rambuka really alone? Did he have influential Itoke leaders urging him on? Were failed political leaders using Rambuka and his military position? Did the late Ratumara have a hand in the coup of 87?
I will not put any blame on Ratumara.
Why not?
I just will not.
You will carry this chip on your shoulder
I'll carry it.
and you will take it into the elections.
Correct.
Bearing in mind that what you say here tonight and your refusal to answer could affect Sodelpo's chances at the elections.
If they think that, then they can just ask me to step down.
Ratumara had just in 87 lost the election very closely, but he had lost prime ministership.
No, I will not answer that question.
Did he have a conversation with you?
I will not answer that question.
Did he have a hand in influencing you?
I will not answer that question.
During the course of the show, Rambuka was repeatedly asked to come clean and use the platform to redeem himself. The only clues he gave away towards the end was that there were people behind the scenes, and some of those shadowy figures are still around today.
Why should they deserve to get away scot-free?
No, as far as I'm concerned, I'm guilty. That's it.
Of course, that is accepted. Just give us a name. Give the viewers a name.
No. There are some who are alive, and they are the ones who know.
The Sodelpa leader concedes he's even willing to compromise the party's chances of winning the 2018 election in order to protect his secret. He says very simply, if it's a problem, then the party should sack him. Rambuka says he will take this secret to the grave, yet another chance gone begging to bring closure to the nation and to the thousands who were affected by the coup of 1987. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Itoke culture and traditions are not under threat, says newly elected leader of the Social Democratic Liberal Party, Sitiveni Rambuka. Speaking on FBC TV's For the Record program last night, Rambuka said that the political stand taken by his party before the 2014 elections was misguided. He adds that while Itoke issues will remain central to the party's concerns, there won't be any racial elements.
If they had wanted to project an indigenous support image and found out that they only received at the most 46% of the vote, they should have changed and mellowed down on that area.
Rambuka was elected Sodelpa leader on June 24th. An investigation has begun into the death of a baby whose body was discovered in a bus parked at a garage in Wainimbokasi outside Nausori this morning. The discovery was made by a 56-year-old mechanic who was cleaning the bus. The bus had been parked at the garage since its last trip on Saturday night. The body is kept at the mortuary awaiting post-mortem examination. Police spokesperson Ananai Soro says they are now searching for the mother. Coming up on FBC News, remains of decomposed body found at Natondola. And church leaders warned abuse of power will not be tolerated. Stay with us.
I'm Sarah, I'm from Tafwa, and I love listening to Today FM Rocks.
My name is Freddy, I'm from Ganyatong. I listen to Mario on the traffic jam every afternoon.
Hi, my name is Salah, I live in Asinu. Today FM Rocks.
My name is Denasa and I'm from Lutoka, and I love listening to Today FM.
My name is Mulamila, I work at Golden Point Resort. I love listening to Today FM, it rocks in Rakiraki.
I'm Mary from Mandera. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM Rocks.
We love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. Police have discovered more human remains at the Natandola beach in Singatoka. Chief of Intelligence and Investigations, ACP Luke Navella, says the discovery was made by man while he was walking along the beach this morning. The decomposed parts were wrapped in a similar manner to those found last week at the same location. ACP Navella says the remains will be kept at the Lautoka Hospital, where forensic tests will be carried out. Police have confirmed the body parts belong to 2 Russians who went missing 2 weeks ago. Opposition leader Rote Mumukepa says she sympathizes with the Health and Medical Services Minister given the budget. Rote Mumu says allocations given to other agencies could have been used for health services.
They believe it is acceptable to chop back the health budget by a large amount while committing over 170 million to the army, to the military. The people are not likely to say much about this, Madam Speaker, because they fear the military, which has proven time and again that it will not hesitate to torment and abuse people if it feels threatened.
Health Minister Choneo Sumate earlier clarified the ministry has received an increased budget. Some allocations have been listed under other ministries specifically for Tropical Cyclone Winston rehabilitation. Government will continue to focus on the needs of women and children, families, senior citizens and the disadvantaged. With allocation of $56.1 million, Social Welfare Minister Rosie Akbar says the government promotes social safety and at the same time advocates self-resilience.
To achieve this objective, the Fijian government will continue to support existing social protection programs which we have, such as the Poverty Benefit Scheme, the Child Protection Programs, the Social Pension Scheme, the Food Voucher Program.
One of the schemes the ministry will look into is the monthly food voucher program, as it will be reconfigured to benefit only those who truly deserve it. Local Government Minister Parveen Kumar has supported the national budget. Kumar says the new budget is a clear pathway to sustainability and supports the ministry's operation in all areas. The minister says apart from focusing on the development of infrastructure, they are also focusing on minimizing the growth of informal settlements.
My ministry is currently undertaking 7 squatter settlement upgrading projects, namely Omkar to be completed in December 2016, Dombati in Nasinu, Duvu in Singatoka, Lendusasa in Nendi, Sasavira in Nasori, Namara in Lambasa, and Nakama in Sabu-Sabu.
$3 million has been provided in the new budget for town-wide informal settlement upgrading program along Lami and the Suvanausori corridor. Over 1,000 lots will be subdivided. Assistant Minister for Local Government and Housing, Lorna Eden, says the budget will ensure that 260 Fijians have their own land, a house or both in this coming year. She says home ownership is the key focus for her ministry. Eden says housing assistance will also increase for low-income earners.
Our ministry is in the process of emulating a specialised housing model that will catalyse home ownership among the lower income segments of Fiji. A rent-to-buy model is being piloted wherein public rental board tenants can allocate part of their rental payments towards home ownership.
Fijians will be assisted through the First Home Buyers Program. Employment Minister Semi Koroi-Lavesau has shown his support for the budget, as $16.3 million allocated to his ministry will greatly benefit Fijians to not only find but create employment. The National Employment Centre has been allocated $4 million, of which $0.8 million will be used for the Foreign Employment Services. Koroi-Lavesau says the government anticipates to send 500 workers to New Zealand and 1,000 workers to Australia under the Seasonal Workers Scheme. The ministry also anticipated to extend its foreign employment opportunities in USA and Canada. Opposition member Moses Mbulitavu says he does not support the new budget. While talking on a range of issues and making recommendations, Mbulitavu says a mini-budget would have been better for the government.
This budget is an attempt to appease the voters, while debt is projected to be at 47.9% of GDP in July 2016 and forecasted to increase to 50.4% on GDP in July 2017. Given the new loans of $103.9 million from the ADB and other World Bank borrowings, Madam Speaker, this is a burden to our taxpayers.
The Methodist Church in Fiji has warned church leaders that issues of domestic violence, physical, emotional and sexual abuse will not be tolerated. The statement comes after the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in its June statistics on sexual cases revealed that a pastor was charged for a serious sexual offence. Kelly Vadhala reports.
Church ministers have been reminded of their responsibilities. Methodist Church in Fiji spokesperson Reverend James Bhagwan says they will not entertain immoral behaviors where church leaders use their powers to take advantage of its people.
People with responsibilities, with authority in various religious communities have abused that authority, abused that power in the community in terms of sexual abuse, rape, and the violation of women and children. And so this is nothing new for the church in terms of its stance. The church remains very steadfast in the fact that we do not tolerate any of this in any way, shape or form.
Ministerial leaders and the congregation are urged to familiarize themselves with the Code of Conduct, which came into effect earlier this year.
One of the things that the Code of Conduct is very clear on is that ministers and ministry leaders need to be aware of that power and reject any use of it to meet their own needs or to force others to agree to what they want. So the issue here is the concern with possible abuse of power.
The Code of Conduct provides clear guidelines to the expected behavior of all church ministers. Bhagwan says ministers and leaders should care for all church members, but most importantly having those who look up to them as their first priority. Kelly Vadhala, FBC News.
The services of the Fiji Higher Education Commission has been enhanced further after they received a 5-year grant of $7 million. The grant has been given by the New Zealand Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade and will help in the implementation of the 2016-2021 Improvement Program. Sainiani Boiler reports.
The grant by New Zealand will help improve the quality of higher education delivery in the country.
Express our gratitude to the New Zealand government for this very generous grant from MFAT to the tune of 5 million New Zealand dollars, which translates to something like 7.3 Fijian dollars.
Dr. Milika Sobi says the money will also be used to implement programs that are in the pipeline.
To strengthen the Fiji qualifications framework, it also aims to develop a monitoring framework and also a competency framework, making sure that teachers, particularly those engaged in teaching vocational education, have the relevant skills and knowledge to be able to teach effectively.
Dr. Sobi says the financial support by New Zealand reflects its confidence and assurance in the work of the Fiji Higher Education Commission. The funding agreement was signed by the Minister for Education, Dr. Mahendra Reddy, and will commence this month. Sainiani Boiler, FBC News.
The United States of America today celebrated its 240th Independence Day. While the occasion was marked in Suva last week with a Sea to Shining Sea theme focused on climate change and healthy oceans, it was also a time to remember how Fiji's relations with the superpower has evolved.
I think, the business relationship, certainly there's potential for further expansion, but I think, particularly the global cooperation that we enjoy, from peacekeeping to working together in the United Nations, and that's fundamentally, I think, the sign of a mature relationship when our cooperation really promotes a better world together.
Fiji and America will commemorate 45 years of formal diplomatic relations on the 22nd of this month. And we turn to sports now. Here's Jamie with the very latest.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening. Coming up, emotional victory for Nandi coach. And Dakwanga ready for Rio selection. Stay with us for the details.
आपको खरगंगा की रंजिला का नमस्कार। रेडियो फिजी की सुंदर सुंदर यादों का खजाना एकदम बचपन के दिन याद करा देते हैं।
हमारा नाम जोनी नायडू है, हम रहता है मलोरो में और हम टैक्सी ड्राइवर है। हम सब टाइम अपन टैक्सी में रेडियो फिजी सुनता प्रोग्राम।
हम सिंगाटोका के हैं, हमारा नाम है रोजी, हम लोग यहाँ पे रेडियो फिजी 2 सुनते हैं।
राम राम, मैं रेमस प्रसाद बोलता हूँ, तब वता में कोई रहता हूँ। मैं जब भी सुना रेडियो फिजी 2 ही सुनता हूँ।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
Nandi football has secured the Vodafone Fiji FAC title for the fourth time after beating Suva 3-0 on penalty kicks last night. While the players and fans celebrated another tournament victory, the win was extra special for the Jet Setters coach. Vasnil Prasad explains.
How emotional it is? Yes, it's so hard when you are always mocked. When you are a district coach, you are always mocked because team does not win. But people do not know the sacrifices the coaches do, the families do.
Emotional Nandi coach Joseph Nityanand has finally broken the duck of not having won a title as a mentor. His hope of winning the Fiji FAC title didn't come easily as the final was decided on the penalty kicks with his goalkeeper Verity Dixon stealing the show.
And Verity Dixon saves, and again he is a very good penalty saver with the chance here now to pull one back if he can. Waisake now turns and Verity saves.
As a player, we are really working together. This team, I never saw in any team this kind of team because we are working together as a team.
Oh, waiting as Madwan to take the kick.
Adding the salt also on the capital city's wound was Madhvan Gounder, whose kick sailed over the crossbar.
One Gounder places and he kicks it over.
I think when it comes to penalty, I think it's anybody's game. But good luck to the Nandi side for winning that.
Nandi's Napoleon Ingase Vakatini, Antonio Tuivuna and Mateus Itoma were all on target.
The Nandi side takes his run, places it, and Gase Vakatini has pulled one. The referee signals. Tony Tuivuna comes and places and makes Ben go the wrong way. To put it home, and it drives, and Mateus Itoma.
After 120 minutes of regulation football, both teams were locked 0-0, but the green machine never gave up.
A nice save that time.
The players, they play under a lot of pressure. And from the sideline, if you don't encourage them, then things fall apart. See?
While the whole of Nandi is celebrating, Nandi will now want to add more titles as he has tasted victory, which will sure make his footballing appetite more hungry. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
Vodafone Fiji 7's rep Masivesi Ndakuwanga is enjoying his stint with the national side as preparations for the Rio Olympics continue. Ndakuwanga, who was born and raised in Nandi, started his rugby career in local sevens competition playing for the Tokotoka Westfield Dragons. Rohit Deo caught up with Ndakuwanga training and filed this report.
Fiji, the pass goes back, going for the line.
Masivesi Ndakuwanga is partially blind but has defied all odds playing a physical sport like rugby and being one of the best at it. He made his debut for the national team at the Las Vegas tournament earlier this year and has played 30 matches since, scoring 11 tries.
It's
been 1 year since I've been with the boys and I'm getting used to playing with them. And I am trying my best to learn from the experienced players.
And a lovely in-pass.
The 22-year-old says he is trying his best to impress coach Ben Ryan for a place in the final squad, but knows it's not going to be easy.
And there's really...
It has been a challenge for me vying for a spot in the forwards since some of the boys are overseas based, and I am trying my best to be one of the boys in the forwards.
Ryan names his final 13-member team next Friday. Rohit Deo, FBC Sports.
Athletics Fiji is hopeful that at least 2 of its athletes will qualify for the Olympic Games. Fiji's top athletes will compete at the Melanesian Games that start on Thursday at the NZ Stadium in Suva. This will be the last qualifying meet for the Olympics. 215 athletes will represent Fiji at the 3-day event.
We're hoping for favorable weather and a nice tailwind, especially for our sprint king, Banduve Tambakodoro, and I'm sure there'll be a few others from around the region who will be trying to qualify.
Around 10 countries will take part in the Games this week. Funding is an area of concern for Fiji Hockey Federation as they prepare to send 2 teams to the World League Round 2 in Asia. Fiji Hockey last travelled outside of the Pacific in 2013 to take part in the World Series League in India. Both the women's and men's teams have qualified after winning round 1 of the league held in Suva last weekend.
Our team, and from our experience in round 2 in India, we really need to get to a higher level of fitness than we've ever had before.
The men's team will be playing in Bangladesh, while the women's team will compete in Malaysia. Weightlifting Fiji confirmed today that lifters Manueli Tulo and Apollinia Vaivai will represent Fiji in the Olympic Games in Brazil next month. Tulo has qualified in the 56 kilogram category, while Vaivai will take part in the 69 kilogram category in the women's division. The duo are currently in New Caledonia preparing for the Games. Tulo and Vaivai won gold for Fiji in the Oceania Championships held earlier this year. Iceland's Euro 2016 fairy tale run has finally come to an end. The tournament's smallest nation was brought back down to earth by a 5-2 defeat of France in the quarterfinals today. France will now play Germany in the second semi-final at 7 a.m. on Friday, while at the same time on Thursday, Wales play Portugal. That's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
Sky Pacific has introduced a new 24-hour Bollywood movie channel. Darren McLean, chief executive of parent company Digicel, says there's always been a demand for more Hindi content. The new channel, B4U Movies, according to McLean, will please customers.
A few themes have come through. So themes like sports, music and movies. So there's been a huge demand for a 24-hour movie channel. And we've introduced Paramount movies in the last several weeks, which has been hugely popular. But the theme around Hindi content and more Bollywood content and a 24-hour movie channel was coming through pretty loud and clear.
Sky Pacific is currently in a content improvement phase. A mix of sun and clouds was the weather pattern about the eastern and southern parts of the country, with occasional showers. Temperatures were about the same everywhere. Lambasa was the warmest spot at 32 degrees, while Ba was at 31. The rest of the centres were comfortable in the higher 20s. Tomorrow will be much like today, with a bit of sunshine, cloudy skies and occasional showers. Expect a cool night. And looking ahead to Wednesday, the cool conditions will continue. At sea, easterly winds gusting up to 20 knots, moderate to rough seas. And recapping the main stories for tonight, Opposition MP Professor Biman Prasad labels new budget as bad economics. Prime Minister Vorenghe Bainimarama says the budget is strong, fair and inclusive. And Rabuka refuses to name figures behind the 1987 coup. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Results from last week's poll question, we asked: do you agree with FIRCA publicly listing second-hand vehicle prices? 85% answered yes. This week's question: should Fiji host a Super Rugby match every year? To answer, visit our FBC website. Send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Good night.
Alango Katonasia Tutua, Omonia Solara. Although we'll take you on a TV and a market tower. Although Talitana, Warrona, Bula FM, and Nambandu and a set.
Pulamana Viti, Navago Palacio Materia, one of my Nana Bulubulo Tabiuni, Ausatuga Nandi, and the Talita in Warro and a Bula FM. Bula!
Bula FM, number 2 and seri.